I've often said that the people that come in here are strange and wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, the local hobby store is a communal meeting place for all kinds of people.
All sorts of folks. Folks. Hey guys, welcome to another Lords of War Games and Hobbies video. I'm Chris, this is Jay, and we do these sorts of industry talks a couple times a week. So if you like it, give us a like and subscribe. If not, move it along.
Move along.
So we've done a couple of these videos. You can go back through our catalog and find one we did on the types of hobby store owners you might encounter. And then we did one on the types of customers that come into a hobby store. And we're going to go even more into the weeds here today and talk about the types of gamers you might encounter on the tabletop in a hobby shop or just in general in the wilderness.
I think a lot of people feel personally attacked.
We are going to attack people. We've attacked ourselves, so I think it's only fair that now we attack other people.
No, sure.
You know?
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
And you know, we're going to attack ourselves a little bit too. Like we play games, so we're obviously going to be fitting into here, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember that, like, even with these categories we might throw up, that, like, there are other categories we're going to forget. So sound off in the comments if you have a fun, cool theory about a type of person that you've encountered. No matter how niche it is, those are funny. Those are always funny things to read. And I think a lot of people are hybrids. Like, a lot of people are, like, fit into multiple categories. I know I definitely do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think, you know, off the cuff, you've got...
We'll have a list.
You've got a list.
I made a list.
Oh, sure. Let's go through the list then.
You can add to the list.
We can add to the list.
So I think we owe it to ourselves to start with everyone's favorite power gamer.
Power gamer.
Yeah.
Power gamer's great. Or not. Depends. Power gamer can go two ways. He's either as hobby store owners, we only value power gamer if he spends a lot of money. If he's constantly buying as a new army at your store, then you're like, this guy's great. Nothing wrong with him.
Yeah. This is a good guy.
This is a good guy.
This is a good guy.
Yeah. I don't see anything wrong here.
Good guy. Yeah. Great guy, actually.
Yeah. Most of the time, you don't even want him at your store at all because he's just, you know.
There's... Yeah, so power gamer guy usually is also some, like, really into tournaments. Yeah. Likes competitive play. But you know what? I've seen versions of power gaming guy who are like just play with their friends or whatever too. Like it's a way of life. It's not actually.
Yeah. They're just like, I have to do it. I don't half-ass anything, so I have to.
Like they're in the D&D world. I couldn't believe this when I heard this. That like they exist in role playing games.
That is they min-max characters.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Like that, so that's the concept of the power gamers. That they're always looking to make the best out of any situation they're in, essentially, to the max or whatever, right? And some of you watching will be like, well, why wouldn't you do that? Well, you're a power gamer.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's because that's your mentality.
True. That's true. That's true. And I don't really have issue with this archetype, really. No. I get it. I get why, if you're in it, why not do a good job? You're encouraged to do a good job in everything else that you do, so why not also do well at the games? I think where does the power gamer get into trouble? Yeah, so there's only one. Basically, the demarcation is if you're a power gamer, you know, it's like the good and the bad. The good is you're great in my books if you can, and you should be able to because you're a power gamer and you know everything. Is you should be able to assess very quickly. Oh, this game I'm having and social contract, etc. This person on the other end is not a power gamer as well, so I need to dial it down or change or be a little more receptive to that. Yeah. You can still win your game, but you can do it in a way that is more like fun for both of you, essentially. So
it's like sportsmanship is a huge thing.
A little bit of sportsmanship. Yeah. I think you get cases where they just go into like almost a robotic mode and it just like it's like everything's fed through like a build order, and they're just like this, and they just
the StarCraft player.
They just kind of win the game, and they have no emotion or you know, they just
the game is a series of inputs, and the output is their victory.
Yes,
or whatever.
And doesn't matter if they tabled their opponent and lost nothing in return. They're just like okay, and they just go to the and it could be very jarring for the other person to be like, what's wrong with you? because they don't, because most gamers like it's a vehicle.
Why are you the way that you
game,
are?
the game is the social vehicle, right? Like it's we could be playing softball, we could be playing a video game, but we chose to do, there's
the power gamer is the guy who is going down on the ice in a shitty hockey game and blocking a shot.
Sure.
That guy, it's like, dude, what do you realize where you are, and that's the thing,
or even trying to fight someone.
That's where it gets weird, right? Yeah. When like you're in the power gamers in a situation that isn't really a competitive situation, and they're being like max guy and not being like socially aware, just like that hockey player who's blocking a shot or taking a slap shot into some guy's shin.
Right.
I've met these people playing. Like it's like, dude, there's a time and a place to do this. And it's not. This isn't a league game. This is a pickup game. Like this. Yeah. So there's like an etiquette to things, right? Sure. I think so. The power gamer guy, great, so long as they're following all like the proper etiquette and understand social situations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving to the polar opposite, in some ways, is the sort of like narrative gamer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Narrative gamers are. They usually are. They make their choices based on like aesthetics and. They write little stories and they're usually they're also not a big population, but they're usually the ones that are the masters of their hobby the most. They just kind of plan things out, and it's all about that one game in 2 months with the like all this story written.
You could almost call them experiential gamers.
Yeah,
because like to them, they fully understand that it's about the experience. It's about preparing your Napoleonics army. For 1 year to play that one game at Hot Lead or whatever, where all your mates are going to come together and you're going to have this like crazy looking historical reenactment game or whatever. The Horse Heresy guys are like this too.
Yes.
A lot of them, not all of them, but like a lot of them are like, I'm playing this Legion because they're my favorite.
Right.
Not because of it's a competitive choice.
Talking about Raven Guard and
I'm talking about Raven Guard. I'm talking about White Scars. I'm talking about Solar Auxilia. I'm talking. What do you mean I'm not a Space Marine? Yeah.
Although I love
the game of Space Marines.
I love the HH guys, and I'm going to target one of our customers, Brandon. Here, he's like, "No, I am narrative." I'm like, "Really?" Horus.
Yeah, the story is the Sons of Horus winning every battle.
every battle. Horus Ascendant with his.
That's the story, Jay.
That is, and I can't argue. That is the story. And that is him forging his own narrative.
Oh, he's forging it. All right.
He's forging it.
What are those?
I've never seen Horus Ascendant.
What are the Black Terminators called?
The Justaeran?
The Justaeran, yeah. 10 Justaeran Terminators with Horus. That'll tell a story, right?
Yeah. It's a great. Yeah, I can picture it in my head. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
No, it's funny you bring him up too, because like he's such a great guy, and he even when he's like playing Marvel, I can see he goes between like this is a guy who literally like has two wolves inside him.
He does, yeah.
One is like his love of like winning games and understanding and knowing
solving
the puzzle.
Yes,
and the other wolf is like, well, I can't have like Thanos with my X-Men.
Right. Yeah.
So like there's like and these things are like competing against each other a lot of the time, right?
But Marvel's unique in that that is a actual problem, I guess, or choice that he in Horus Heresy or Warhammer he can have it all. He doesn't have to
for the most part. Yeah. For the most part. Although I'm reminded of the time he was like playing Slaves of Darkness a couple years ago when they were awful, just over and over again. And he's like, "Why am I doing this to myself?"
Yeah.
Like, well, you chose chaos. That's the problem. That's your problem, Brandon.
I mean, they don't have that problem right now.
Not a problem anymore.
Right now, they don't.
So a lot of the time, narrative gamers get put in this category, but I think this category is a little different. It's the filthy casual. I endearingly use the word filthy.
So what Timmy is, but not what he wants to be. He wants to be power gamer.
Correct. Yeah.
But he's actually just filthy casual.
That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, this is probably most of us.
A lot of us are here, but we don't want to admit it.
No, we don't.
No, and there's a lot of ways to get here. So like you can get here by like you're convinced that you're like I want to be a great player, but like you're just like not that great at the game, or you don't actually like do the work involved.
You don't do the work,
which is a huge part of it, right? Understanding the rules, like getting the repetitions in, going to a tournament, and like why am I always going 2-2 or whatever. And we always made these jokes about like tournaments. A lot of the time, the middle tables are actually like some of the worst games are.
Yeah.
Where you get some of the worst sportsmanship because people are just annoyed.
Yes.
That they're not higher up.
Yes. Yeah, so they're just taking it out on each other.
It's like, dude, like, what do we? Yeah, like nobody's winning anything here.
No,
you know? Like, yeah,
no, yeah. It's very true. When you're at the very bottom is like guys are just having a blast. Yeah, of course my phone has to ring right now.
That's a cool little ringtone.
Yeah, the people at the bottom are like just having a blast. They're having drinks. They're like, we've been out of this thing since day one. Your army looks cool. How'd you do that? And you just play your game. The top tables, you would think would be like a grindy, filthy mess. No, it's usually pretty jovial too. Both guys are like feeling good because they won a bunch of their games. They also both are good at the game and know what they're doing. So there's like no arguments. Everything's
a lot of them know each other too because they're like,
they meet each other there all the time.
Hey, surprise, surprise! They're always playing,
and they're like, let's have a good game. And it's actually just like, and when stuff happens in the game, they're like, okay, and they move on to they don't even But the middle is where.
So that's where the
crazy stuff.
The people that haven't embraced the fact they're filthy casuals, and then like you just mentioned, the people at the bottom who are happy.
Yeah,
those are people that have embraced it. You know, just embrace it.
Yeah,
right?
no, I literally this is me. Yeah, I think my last two Adepticons.
Well, you've been a bit of a tryhard lately because you were playing a lot of games. No,
maybe a little. I don't know. I don't know. I still don't play enough.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. That's fair.
No, my last two Adepticons have both been like these types of like 1 and 4 type of finishes or whatever, which is like a sad record, kind of down from the types of the I was usually historically like a 3-2 maybe 4-1 player most of my gaming career, but
you got old, Jay.
I got old, but what invariably happens is I just like. I always tell this to people too that are like aspiring. I'm like, if once you've like you have to win if you want to do well. You can't drop any points. Like there's so many players, and Warhammer's tough to play. Like you need multiple. If you want to do like if you have hundreds of players and you need to do 8 rounds or something, you need like many days to do that. Like you can't do it in a day. So usually tournaments are like 4 rounds, maybe 5. It's like okay, if you've lost a game, it's over.
Yeah.
So like if I get to round 2 or 3 and I've lost one of those games, like I'm immediately just the edge is off. I always joke that to people. I'm like, oh, you're 3-0. I'm like, sucks to be you. You have to try. You have to be focused today. Yeah. Like you
go to bed early.
You gotta go to bed early. Like I lost the game already. The rest is just bonus. Anyway, so I'll run into games where the person on the other side is still like playing, like they're stretching the clock out and I'm like, dude, we're not playing for anything.
Yeah,
we're not playing for any prizes. Like it's all gonna be like raffles and whatever. And sure, you want to win, you got it.
Admitted his fate. Yeah, he has admitted his fate.
Like so. Yeah. Stuff like that is always it's kind of funny how that goes, So they'll be like thinking about a rule, and I'll be like, "Look, you got it, man. Like it's not. You can call the judge, but who cares? Like it doesn't matter.
You can call the judge. I'm already on your side.
I don't care. Like, but me being me, I'll be like, you're still wrong. But if you want to call the judge, go ahead. I don't care. Like whatever.
Yeah, it's you're wrong. But Oh man. So moving into another very casual category here, the hobby gamer.
Is that also me?
Yeah, that's why there's sometimes you're in both categories. Yeah. This is just like it's probably like putting like casual people into another category. It's essentially like, and you've met these people. A lot of big groups have like 1 or 2 of them. Our group is like strangely made up almost entirely of these people, which is like weird, and we've cultivated this over time. But like people whose like primary driver in the hobby is the painting, but they do also like they engage in the game because it's like a means to an end for like a project, right? Like they like to show off their finished collection. Going to the event and like displaying their army and stuff is like really cathartic, and it's like a cool part of the journey. It's like what do you like for the most part when you see like I recall these guys, I don't remember his name, but the guy who had like the like incredibly painted like Stormcast army he like did over the number of years. Is it Lars?
Oscar Lars.
Lars, yeah. Great painter. Guys like him. There's another gentleman I played in one of the rounds with like this immaculate Cities of Sigmar army, but like it was like they're always the nicest guys who are just like, yeah, I'm just like here to push my models forward or whatever, and like go through the motions or whatever.
Yeah, they're kind of in the they're trying to. I mean, that's the beauty of these big events is there is prizing for the presentation and stuff too. So they're more focused on that.
100%.
They want to paint a spectacular army, and hopefully win in that. Although that's another funny thing, because it's like the most. At least with the gaming, it's like, well, I win my games, I win the tournament. But the painting is like arbitrary.
So subjective, right?
Yeah. So like you could bring the same army 3 years in a row and win one and not the other, and whatever. And 1 year your score will fluctuate.
I can lock in that third place like nobody else can. I can like guarantee third place. Like
you're very
with a good effort.
You're very good at the third place painting. Yeah.
Oh man. I'm crying on the
one
inside.
day.
I'm crying on the inside,
One day, yeah.
Do you have any other categories? Like, we can obviously break these down even further. Like, you can, like...
I don't know.
You can always go, like, the try-hard, but, like, that's kind of like a power gamer sometimes.
I mean, to your point about the hobby game, there is also a very rare, small amount... One of our friends is the guy who's just better than you at everything.
Ooh.
He beats you in the game. His arm is better looking.
I hope you don't have to live with
car.
someone like that.
Yeah. Like, he's just shows up and he's just yeah.
Haunting.
It is.
Haunting.
It can be quite haunting.
It can be quite haunting.
It can be quite desperate. Like you can't even find a fault. You're like. Well, they usually have a weakness, but it's like, who cares?
It's like the physical weaknesses.
Yeah, they can't throw football or something.
In 2025, we're not allowed to hit them in the knees with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Bad things can't happen.
Yeah.
That would be wrong or whatever.
But no, this is a friend of ours. But it's different now because we've known him for so long, and we can poke fun out of his real weaknesses. But in the early days, it was like, wow, this person is just better than me at everything. They win all the awards.
It's particularly hard for Jay and I because like we were such big painter people,
right?
That we're like, if I lose a game, I'm like, well, at least I look better doing it.
Yes.
And when you lose that,
you lose that. It's
you really lose everything.
Oh wow. And sometimes these people are also like I said, like you could actually like talk to them and they're not mean and weird. They're just like, you're like, oh man. Yeah. But that's an allegory for life anyway. There are those people.
It's a great lesson, actually. Yeah, and I love being humbled by that on a regular basis. I just love it so much.
The whatever that guy that the Navy SEAL astronaut, doctor, engineer, or whatever. Or whatever. Like, it's just these people exist, and you have to just deal with them. But yeah, they exist in the wargaming world for sure. And
and
the best thing you can do around those people is actually take it more of an approach of like,
what can I learn from this person?
Exactly. Yeah.
I can't tell you how much he's helped all the people in our group get better at painting.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow.
You got to spin it the other way and be like,
soaked so much.
Forget about being like mad and jealous or whatever. Just be like, yo, what? How can I do this or that? Or just watch them. Yeah. Like, oh wow, okay. Like, and this is how you can, when I see someone playing an instrument at like a, virtuosic level, I'm just like, I just appreciate it. I'm not gonna be mad that I can't do that. So,
it's true. It's such an amazing thing. Yeah.
Now there's other subcategories. There's also just like perpetually angry, like just like wargamer, where you're like, why are you?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Keep doing this, but you don't seem to.
I always go back to this guy we used to call Angry Chris or whatever.
This is funny. That is funny.
It is good. Yeah, he was this guy when running my first Games Workshop who he came out to every fantasy night and. At the start of the night, he was like, before he even played his first game. Yeah, this is Scarborough.
Okay. Yeah.
He was already like really mad about. And it's just like, dude, why are you here? It's this guy who's like, you could almost put him in the same category of like people that are just doing something because they've always done it, and it doesn't bring them any happiness. They just seem to get angry. This guy would like lose his games like to like 12-year-old Leo or whatever.
Oh wow!
Who was a bit of a He was a great kid. It just beat him in the game, and he's just like throwing his model at the wall and like.
God. During our Games Workshop years, I recall several people were
the Screamer Killer.
But I'm just thinking
that's a great nickname.
I'm just thinking of people in general that like, and it's usually someone. It's a weird. sensitive thing because I would be like, as a staff member, when I was a Games Workshop staff member and I was younger and I played a lot of games, like I knew the games like a little more in more detail, and I would either be playing with or I would just be observing, and I'd be like, you're like, well, you set that up to go badly, you like moved this squishy unit up to this other unit and it's gonna die to that thing, and like, what was your objective here? And it's like, these are people you can't like even have the conversation with because they're like, well, no, I had this plan and this, and you're like, okay, but like,
like we all have that like out where we basically like it's agreed upon across the whole hobby that if someone says, yeah, the dice beat me, or you know, we just let it go because like that's that person saying like, I just need this excuse, and like, hey, that's fine, right? If that's a way that we can all be like, it doesn't matter that much or whatever, and that's how we cope or whatever, that's a wonderful thing. But like, that guy does not have that.
No, they're always using, when the excuse gets broken out again and again and again, like, okay, one game, everyone will be like, yeah, I've been there or whatever, but when it's game after game after game, then it's like, okay, well, so, and then you start being like, this guy, are you even having fun here? Like, why are you, like, this maybe isn't for you, but that's another pride thing that is tough to, like, broach or accept that and I think some people struggle because Warhammer War Games also like don't really adhere to like, I guess, realistic tactics and things sometimes. Yeah. Because you'll be like, well, I put this here and for this reason, and you're like, yeah, but there's like rules in the game that just go around that because it's a fantasy game, or whatever. Like, or you have a data sheet that's just really powerful for some reason, and it's like the example recently is reading the Fire Dragon data sheet. It says something like they can reroll hits, wounds, and damage or something. It's like the way it's written. It's like, wow, okay, like you're just one little step away from just saying,
how much damage do you want to do to me?
Yeah, from just saying roll, pick a number. They might as well have just said does
they choose
D6 mortal wounds.
They choose their damage. Yeah,
like I don't really, stuff like that. So,
that's great.
And that can be one of the, and if if I put this unit down and like it's if they're shooting monsters and vehicles. So if I like deploy them and they nuke your tank in one,
all the good stuff in the game,
in absolutely one shot, and you're just sulking mad on the other side. It's like, well, that's
what they do.
It's open information. That's what they do, and like they exist in the game. So like, what do you want me to do? Like, I
want you to not take fire dragons.
Yeah. And if we go into the weeds a bit more with these, because I'm thinking,
we're in garbage time, so you go.
Yeah, so you have like
fire them off.
You have a few other ones. You've got
Salty Gamer.
Salty Gamer. I think Salty's
kind of like angry, but like it comes out like way more sad.
Yeah. They're just, and they get like you, again, it's a bit like the example I just gave, where their opponent's unit or army does a thing that it's supposed to do, and then
it's like when you draw a card in Magic and you play it,
right?
And the guy's like, "You have that?" And like, it's in my deck.
It's in my deck.
Like, I'm allowed to
like
play
top
it.
decking a
card.
Yeah.
You're like, you got that? It's like, it's in my. I have 4 copies.
I have 4 copies. Yeah, sure. It's like, in my deck. It can come up. Yeah. Like, I don't know why you're shocked.
You're not prepared. Okay.
But I'm thinking there's also like super disorganized person who's just like can't, like, they're shuffling papers and looking. They have to look everything up, and they don't know what's going on. They're never prepared for anything. There's always constant rule checks and questions.
My Lord,
and even though you like explained a thing earlier in the game, later in the game they're like, what? Like, it does, they're shook by something or other, and they can't. You're like, are you paying attention at all? So that is tough.
Overwhelmed gamer. They're just overwhelmed by the whole ordeal. Yeah,
just the whole thing is just.
I feel like that guy these days.
I'm
a little overwhelmed by it all.
It's true.
I'm like checking cards and looking at my book.
This is why I'm gonna have another poor result of this year's Zebra is that I just don't memorize enough of the scenarios and objectives and things to like be on top of having enough of a game. I'm not too bad. I've never been horrible where I'm like having to like.
I feel like you know how your army works now pretty well.
Yeah. Like even if you hand me a new army, it's like the worst. Like, but there's just some people that just seem to like we've just known people that like have been playing for years and they just always like.
I'm reminded of an old friend of ours who like in fantasy battles was like, this guy had been playing for 2 decades or whatever, and he'd be like, what's my strength again or whatever on this unit? And you're like, it's 3. It's always been 3. It's never not been 3. I was like, okay, and my weapon skill, what's your weapon skill? Okay, cool, we're both 3. What do I need to hit?
Right.
You're like, the weapon skill chart has been the same for 30 years or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like the knowledge just doesn't stick, It's like, oh my God. Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
God bless.
So, and there's a bunch we could go on. There's obviously just cheater guy or whatever. Win it all. He's beyond power gamer. He's win at all costs.
He is the
cheater guy.
Maybe
a good one.
That's when the power gamer guy goes like another way. He goes too far. Like whether they're like not a good sport, or they push it to the point where like they have to actually like hand of God.
Yeah,
make it.
They built this persona where they're like I'm only. People know me because I'm good at this, and oh my God, if I lose, it's shattered.
It's the like roll behind a building guy like
this.
I've seen that guy many times.
Yes,
I
made a save.
Literally has like rigged dice guy we've met a few times in our history. Who's rolling like the symbols and sixes. Like so, some of the symbols are on 1s, but he's like symbols are on 6s.
Like rolling.
Oh, cool, you're counting your 1s as well. That's
great. Yeah. Or they'll. See, and it can get pretty sophisticated. There's people that will you just spent so much time just flexing at all your knowledge about this thing, and then you conveniently forgot that rule. That's interesting.
The soft cheater.
You're for 3 turns in a row. You remember to do a thing, and then in the 4th turn, when it might hurt you, maybe it's something that does.
I had a guy I played
or whatever. Yeah,
his Stormcasts. Who was like basically from memory telling me everything in his army at the start of the game, like you do with your good sport. This is what these guys do. These guys have this item does this. And then 3 turns later when he went to use his artifact, pretended to work differently.
Right.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, no, I forgot. I'm like, you forgot?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Sure you did, bud.
Yeah. So, because they've done the calculation in their head, and they're like, oh, actually this is going to hurt me here, or something.
Or they start to get in a little trouble in the game, or whatever, and the win is
all of a sudden
in trouble.
No, it does D3 plus 1, it does this or something, or it does D3 not 1, or they just make up something and they get away with it often because they kind of smother the person. The other person's like, oh, it sounds like you know everything or whatever. And people are generally nice. They'll just be like, okay, I guess. They don't check everything. Yeah.
If you're this guy, though, it will one day blow up in your face, and it will be not nice. Yeah. So don't be that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, which I always tell people when they play the kind of league games and stuff at the store, and they submit lists and stuff, but I'm like, look, if cheating happens, it's gonna get found. It always does. Oh yeah. And then it'll be. There you go.
Yeah. So. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this fun little discussion. As always, don't take anything too. Not that you're watching anymore now.
No.
Don't take it too personally. It's fun. And if you have some fun gamer types that you've encountered across the years, or a fun little silly theory or archetype, just throw it in the comments, and we'll check them out. It's always a good time. Until next time, take care.
Thanks. Bye.